Hey parents, I've got a health tip when it comes to concussion. Look, there's no part of the body that has more of a mystery tied to it than the brain. Ever since the movie Concussion, unfortunately, this hysteria coupled with what we don't know has really put parents in the dark on the topic of brain health, and ultimately what it's led to is a higher reporting of concussions and less playing time for children. Now, I'm a big fan of sports because I know it builds self-esteem. I know it's one of those character building when someone's a part of a team. So when it comes to this all-important topic of concussion, here's what you should know. And these are facts you absolutely can use right away. If you ever suspect your son or daughter's had a head trauma, please get them to their doctor as soon as possible. But before you take them there, quite often the mistake that's costing parents is that they give them Advil or Tylenol right after the injury. Anytime you give a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, anything that's going to decrease inflammation, it's also creating more bleeding or less clotting, which means the brain's at risk for having more trauma because you've given them something over the counter. So there's no research that shows these things are going to help the child. If they have a headache, anytime there's a concussion, we want to know the symptoms, and if you're dulling pain, it could actually make the problem worse. So please, don't give any over-the-counter medications before you take them to a doctor. Consult with your doctor first. And quite often we think of a head trauma just in American football, but you should know there's more women having concussions in high school sports, in middle school sports in 2019 than actually male athletes. A lot of times sports like lacrosse, women's basketball, women's soccer, there is no headgear, and the concussions are pretty rampant in those sports. So don't give them anything over the counter. Please do consult your doctor whenever you have a problem. And if your child has never had a head trauma and you don't know anything about what's going on, I'd like to invite you to bring them into the office, because the best thing we can do as a wellness office here at Glowaki Chiropractic is do a baseline test on your athlete before the season starts. I'll say that again. If we have a baseline and then your son or daughter has a head trauma and you're not sure how they're performing, we can compare a preseason test to a post-head trauma and tell you if in fact they're concussed. So it's really one of those things that's allowing us to get some clarity on a very ambiguous topic. It's also a measure that is preventative and truly wellness, which is what I've been doing for 20 years. And quite often, it's not just a head trauma in American football. There's other sports happening too. So listen, if you haven't brought your son or daughter into the office ever, open invite, bring them in. We'll do the pre-concussion protocol at no fee. However, if you have brought them in and it hasn't been a while, I never chastise my patients. You're always welcome back into the office. Let's get that number. It's an FDA-approved test. It is a number, and then we can test your son or daughter to themselves. It's what I call a health selfie. In fact, we've trademarked that term because I teach concussion protocol every year in the Rose Bowl with some of the most world-renowned brain experts. And this health selfie is really creating some clarity around one of the most ambiguous topics, which is the brain health. Don't let your son or daughter fall victim or in that crack. And let's get some clarity so they stay on the field and get to do what they want to do, which is play sports, which inevitably boosts their self-esteem. Hey, if we can ever help, my name is Dr. Brad Glowaki, and that's what my office is for.